So anyways, enough of that. So back to the story. Chinese herbalism is really interesting because every single herbal system from Ayurveda to Amazonian herbalism to Egyptian herbalism to Native American folk herbalism, Chinese herbalism is interesting because it's probably the most complete medicinal system. And the reason I know that is because it's the only system that's been recorded for 5,000 years. Now, Ayurvedic system's been going on the same stretch of time, but it's not all recorded. The Chinese actually recorded everything, and they still have the documentations, and they've been passing it on. That's one thing I love about the Eastern, just like Asian people. They're so meticulous, and they pass it on, tradition to tradition. They just pass everything on. I love that. So as I dive into this, there's a guy named Shen Nong. Does anyone know who that is? He's the guy who first discovered what we would call now Taoist tonic herbalism, and he was one of the first emperors of China. And when he came across it, there was no system in place. He's actually the originator of the whole herbal system. And what happened was he just found an herb or something like that and just started playing with it. He just cooked it up or started eating a plant. And then from there on, he just experimented with himself on how these plants affected him. And then he put out a book, and it's like the most in-depth book on Chinese herbs, and it comprised I don't know, I could be wrong about 3,000 different herbs and their application and what they do. And I was talking to David Wolf about this idea. I was like, it's so interesting. When we look back on history and evolutionary theory and stuff, there's all these theories. But really, what really happened? How did these people know, okay, I'm going to go take this bark off a tree and I'm going to go cook it and I'm going to have myself a medicine? How did they know that? And he was saying, well, they were tuned in. Right? Because Shen Nong wasn't getting blasted with Facebook notifications or EMFs or, a nagging spouse or whatever. He wasn't in a metal vehicle driving down the road. The stress level was a little different back in those days, right? So my suspicion is that those people, they were in a more natural environment. They were grounded. They were eating natural food. They were much more tuned in to what was going on around them. Does anyone here believe that, I don't know, maybe that we get messages once in a while, downloads of some sort from somewhere, right? Absolutely. And so my suspicion is that those people were getting some serious downloads, and they were much more tuned in. Now, speeding up to 2012, we have the same opportunity to start gleaming from their ancient knowledge and start tuning in to, what's going on this planet, what the direction of nature is. Because I don't care what kind of law we put out there. Ain't nothing beating nature's law. Nothing. Nature could step up at any time and say, you know what, you guys are really bothering us. Typhoon, tsunami, whatever, it's done. But for some reason, we've been granted this earth to be here, and I believe that we're actually supposed to, especially right now in this time, we're supposed to follow nature out and see what direction nature wants to go. Right? Because we've been fighting against nature for long enough, and we can see the ramifications of all that in our world today. So I think herbalism is a direct pathway coupled with raw food nutrition. They're not mutually exclusive, and that's the idea I want to talk about. There's pros and cons, but they come together in beautiful harmony. So before I get to that, I'm going to talk about what's called the three treasures. Does anyone know what that is? That's the Chinese philosophy on not just herbalism, but it's actually really a philosophy on life. And there's basically three primary energies that are going on in the human experience. It's Jing, Qi, and Shen. And the deeper I got into this idea, I started to see it in my own life. I was like, whoa, I wasn't taught that in high school. I wasn't taught that when I went to church. They didn't say anything about the 3 treasures. They didn't say anything about preserving my Jing, which is really interesting. Okay, so the 3 treasures, I'm going to break it down for you. Jing. Jing is like the primordial life force that we have inside of us. It's like our power. And a lot of these energies are relating to 2 different areas. Physiologically, they're relating to like our organ system, our mental acuity, how the body works in general, and then also a deeper level, which is like the Shen, which I'll talk about. The Jing is like our battery pack. If we were to look at our organ system, what would be our battery pack?
Heart.
Our heart, it's good guess, but really what I'm referring to is our adrenal glands, our kidney adrenal. Because when someone says, I'm burnt out, I'm tired, I'm fatigued. That's adrenal fatigue, right? Our adrenals are like our battery pack. That's like the support. Our adrenal glands are the true glands that sit on top of our kidneys, and they're supporting everything else. And then if we're unhealthy lifestyle, stimulation all day from computers, from EMS, from 5-hour energy, from pesticides, herbicides, and glow-in-the-dark milk, and all that stuff, we're going to seriously be at risk to break down our battery pack. So that's what the Jing is referring to from the organ system. But to dive into that deeper, it's really our power. It's our core energy. And there's a lot of ways to cultivate this energy.